when you need to know. The Kevin Kollins Show. Weekdays, 3 to 6 on 1340 WJOL. WJOL.
521, it's the Kevin Kollins Show. Turk Furniture Studio Lines 815-254-7300. And joining us on that, State Rep Tom Cross. Rep Cross, thanks for coming on the program. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations, by the way, on your primary win. You are up for state treasurer, and that's going to be a race now as we roll into November. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Okay, wanted to talk today with you about Governor Quinn and his budget address that he's going to give to tomorrow. And I don't know if you've had a chance, I know you've been in committee down there, but the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute came out with a survey that says 60.3% of all respondents oppose the permanent increase in tax, but that almost that same amount say they don't want to see a cut in services and programs. Where do you believe that Governor Quinn is going to fall on this on the tax increase tomorrow?
Well, the history's been the need, the push, and the drive for more money. And I think what's frustrating for people is, you know, when that income tax was passed, it was touted as a temporary solution, that the money would be used to pay down the bills. And in fact, it's gone from bad to worse. And we now have more bills due and owing than we had when that income tax hike was passed. But it has usually been a history of wanting more revenue as opposed to living within our means, spending less, tightening the belt, so to speak.
Some numbers estimate that if this is rolled back to the 3.75%, that it would be a loss of about about $2 billion this next fiscal year. Are there cuts there that can cut that out?
Well, there's always, look, it's a matter of how aggressive the General Assembly wants to go. The two big areas that put pressure on our budget are Medicaid and pensions. Does the General Assembly want to go further in pension reform? Does the General Assembly want to go further in Medicaid reform? I can tell you that one of the troubling parts is Medicaid. We passed a bipartisan bill just a couple years ago that asked the governor's office to hire an independent company to go in and what we call scrub the rolls. We found out that there are a number of people that are on Medicaid that aren't eligible either because of income or because of residency. And so this company came in and their first universe of, batch that they tested, between 35 and 40% of the people weren't eligible. So the savings in that can start to grow into some pretty large numbers. So, it's a state that hasn't shown any discipline, hasn't had an appetite for reform, or cutting back or living within its means. And it's very, very frustrating. So I'm in the camp that thinks you shouldn't extend it because this government's got to learn to live within its means.
Procedurally, walk us through how this would work. If the governor wants to roll this back to 3.75, can he simply put his stamp on that and that's where it goes? Well,
procedurally, it's a great question. The tax actually just ends in January of 2015. And so, backs off, reduces to that 375 number. So that actually is going to happen. My guess is, look, you've already seen folks start to talk about more tax increases, whether it's a progressive tax or what, but it actually does cut back in January.
We're sitting here, with our surrounding states, with Missouri being roughly at 6%, Wisconsin 4.4%, Michigan 4.25%, Iowa 6.5%. So we're kind of right there in the middle. Is this something that if he does let that expire, would you be in favor so it goes back to the 3.75? Would you be in favor of any small increase to get that back up there, maybe in the 4% range, or are you comfortable and feel we can find the cuts to fund that 3.75?
The minute you say to this General Assembly, hey, we're going to raise more revenue, all pressure is relieved, or a lot of it is, to reform. Well, then we don't need to look at Medicaid. We don't need to look at the pension world. We don't need to there's always room to cut. I'm not talking in draconian ways, but it takes off the incentive to try to continue to streamline government. Look, the reason the states around us are doing well is because through the mid-2000s, when their economies were struggling, they stopped spending. And, Governor Edgar quit spending money when he became governor. It wasn't a popular guy down here, but because he was able to tighten the belt, we got out of that, and we then started to, we were doing well. So we're going to have to go through some lean times and do our best to hurt people that need it most. Because of the struggles we're in, it's hard to adequately fund education and human services and social services. But this is a General Assembly over the last 12 years that has not demonstrated a capacity or an understanding to back off on the spending. And it's gone from bad to worse.
We're speaking with State Rep Tom Cross about the budget address tomorrow that Governor Quinn is going to give. I want to do a little bit of a different spin here, and I believe you've been in committee down there talking about this, and I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, the Plainfield Park District bill that would change the number of representatives. Have you been talking about that day in committee?
Oh, yeah. I got out of committee about 20 minutes ago. We passed it out of committee. It was a spirited debate because members of the General Assembly said, should we be changing the law just because of one community? And we were ultimately able to pass it, and I give Jennifer Durant and Karen and Natalie Manley a lot of credit. They worked it very well and hard, as did I, and we were able to get it out of committee. But when we articulated all the problems we've had in this Plainfield Park District and all the abuses that the board has gone through or enacted, they ultimately came around and voted for it.
I know you've been busy in Springfield. I don't know if you're familiar with the latest problems there, where the Plainfield Soccer Association alleged that possibly members of the Plainfield Park District have stolen some of their items, and there's a special meeting to take place tonight. But 3 of the commissioners said, we're not going to the meeting, so it leaves just 2 there. This continues to snowball and become a major issue, and it's unfortunate that I think state government has to step up in a small issue like this, but I think you're right. If you don't, who's going to step in?
We're the only place to go. And, people said, well, elections have consequences, and they're right. And, the people that won fair and square. But usually elections have consequences on policy fronts that, someone gets elected to the school board because they want to spend more money, or somebody gets elected because they want to spend less. And you have policy fights, if you will, disagreements. This is not about policy. I mean, this has gotten to be about rewarding your friends, your political friends. There's a finding of by the Labor Relations Board that the Park District had violated labor practices, changing meetings so people can't go to them, not letting people speak. These are adults playing games that impact kids, and it's just wrong. And it's embarrassing, and it needs to stop. And I resisted going to the General Assembly because I don't think you always should do this, but this has gotten so bad that we need to make a change, and we need to take back this Park District from some folks that are just not being responsible.
State Rep Tom Cross, we're speaking to, also candidate for treasurer, and I'm curious your thoughts on recently, just in the past day or so, Mark Kirk has said that he will not go out and campaign for Jim Oberweis, that he's going to support Dick Durbin. Do you respect his fall on this, or do you think he should stick within the party and support Jim Oberweis?
Look, Mark Kirk has been a great Republican, and Mark Kirk has, he's had some health challenges, as we all know, for months now, and has kept this party going and has worked hard. And I'm sure, my guess is Mark and Jim Oberweis will sit down and talk about it. But I will say this: we're a party that needs to, if we're going to be successful, grow and inclusive. And we haven't done a good job on reaching out to minority groups and young folks and suburban moms. We always hear about that. And so there needs to be, I think that, that was part of what was going on there, and we can't exclude. It's not about, we all have our principles, but we're going to have disagreements in our party. That happens. We have disagreements in our homes and our families. But we've got to be a broader party, and a party that can reach out and include as opposed to exclude.
I want to step back real quick to the Plainfield Park District bill that has gone out of committee. When do you believe that'll be brought up to the full House?
Oh, I hope. Well, it could be in the next week and a half, or it could be after spring break. I don't know when the Speaker will let us call it, but I'm going to move it as quickly as I can. Have you gauged the sentiment in the full House? Do you think you'll have the support? I hope so. There are going to be some people that say we shouldn't use state government to change this, but Natalie Manley will continue to work hard. I give her a lot of credit, as will Jennifer. Oh, Brent Hassard, remember Brent was a state rep. He's helping us. So we're working it, and it's going to be an old-fashioned roll call and ask people will they support us and tell them why we need to do it. Candidate for state treasurer and state rep Tom Cross, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and keep us updated on that Plainfield Park District bill. I will. Thanks for having me. Have a great night.